Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this online event organized by the European Centre for Atomistic and Molecular Simulations, SECAM, to celebrate together the United Nations Day for Women and Girls in Science. Now, this is becoming somewhat of a tradition for us. We've had a few of these events, and our goal here is to invite women who are engaged in our scientific field or in related scientific field, and that can share with us their experiences as professional scientists or professionals related to the world of science. Today, I have the great pleasure to have as guests Barbara Montanari from the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory in the United Kingdom, who has also recently become the president of the SECAM Council. Welcome, Barbara. And Jihan Kamel, who is, you will hear more about her, but who works at the Sesame facility in Jordan. Now, Jihan is an experimentalist, but, you know, SECAM is a center for simulations. Simulations are also meant to assist in the interpretation of experiments. So I hope you will feel right at home here with us, Jihan. Now, the gist that we decided to give to today's meeting is to look at managerial roles of women scientists, but in general scientists that are engaged in the management of research infrastructures. And these can be experimental research infrastructures, as in the case of Jihan, or it can be infrastructures related to computational facilities, as in the case of Barbara. The goal today is to hear what they have chosen to share with us, of course, but most importantly is to interact with our guests. And so I would really, really like to invite our attendees to, ask questions whenever you want. And in order to do that, you can either use the Q&A facility or raise your hand, and you will be invited to unmute, and you will be able to ask the questions directly to our guests. So, without further ado, I think I would like to invite Barbara and then Jihan, let's do it in this order, to, give us a short introduction, just a quick description of the path that took you to where you are today. Barbara, please.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, SECAM, for inviting me to be part of this event today, celebrating the UN International Day for Women and Girls in Science. It's a great honor. So I'll just do what Sarah just said and describe very briefly my story. So I'm a physicist, and I spent my whole adulthood studying and working in research organizations. For the first 20 years as a researcher, and then for the last 12 years or so, I've held senior management, senior leadership roles. My background is as a computational materials physicist, using electronic structure methods to study transition metal oxides and low-dimensional organic systems. And now I work in the UK at the UK national labs that are part of the UK Research Councils, and I'm based at the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory near Oxford. Our labs are places where we develop and provide large-scale research infrastructure. We have the Diamond light source, the UK synchrotron. We have ISIS neutron and muon source. We have the central laser facility. And we also have a large scientific computing activity, which is the part that I belong to. We also do research and innovation, and we develop people's skills and expertise. You can imagine that these labs are very fertile grounds for people to develop scientific, engineering, computing, and transferable professional skills. My current role is Associate Director for Programs and Strategy, for scientific computing. We are about 350 people working across the whole compute stack, from hardware platforms to compute and data storage, cybersecurity, federation, software and data workflows for data analysis, theories, methods, and software for modeling and simulation across physics, chemistry, biology, engineering, computational math, and AI. We're very broad and work with to support research communities across all areas of research. And what does my role in particular? What do I do? In a nutshell, my role is to create and evolve the overall strategy for my department, while at the same time shaping and overseeing its execution through the delivery of the scientific and technical work programs. And I'll stop there for now. Is that enough of an introduction, Sarah?
Oh, that is perfect. It's a very impressive and broad introduction, and thank you for, detailing the role that you are currently serving in. Jihan, would you like to give us a similar intro to your?
Thank you so much, Sarah. Also, thanks to Barbara. I echo Barbara's perspective. It's a great honor to participate today in this event, celebrating what I call them fighters. It's not like exaggeration if we say these 4 women, science and girls, because for some regions, this is really the umbrella of a daily work or a daily adventure. So I'd like just to start with sharing this slide, just to give you an idea of my daily life as well. So I hope that you can see this slide. So I am an associate professor of physics in my university and my home country in Egypt. I graduated in physics, and I had my PhD in Italy, which is another, I would say it's one of my most favorite places in the world. I spent there many years, and now I'm based in Jordan since 2015. Actually, my experience is shaped by this place, Sesame. Sesame is the only synchrotron light source in the Middle East, and its acronym stands for Synchrotron Light for Experimental Science and Applications in the Middle East. Sesame is quite a life experience. It's not only like a daily job that I do experiments, but it's a life experience, and it's really shaping our like not only our present but also our future. So at Sesame, I've led the construction and the operation of the infrared beam line. I'm responsible of the infrared beam line, and actually the basic I would say the basic job is to maintain and operate the beam line and support the Sesame users from all over the world, not only from the Middle East, but also from Europe, from the United States, from the UK. We have a close connection also with Diamond Light Source in the UK, which just mentioned by Barbara. And the applications are quite diverse. So we jump from physics, biology, chemistry, cultural heritage, archaeology, material science, space physics. So whatever you can think of, synchrotron light source is your gate to that. The other experiences that I acquired at Sesame, sometimes I get so emotional when I speak about this place. Sesame is a brilliant example, and it's already praised or recognized as an example of science diplomacy or science for peace. It started with a donation of dismantled old facility in Germany, which is Bessie 1. And these boxes on this ship, that was Sesame in 2002, heading from Hamburg in Germany to Aqaba in Jordan, where it's hosted now. And this picture that you see to the right is Sesame in 2026. you see that it took something like 25 years to build the only facility of this kind in this region. To cut it short, my experience here is not only to provide technical or scientific expertise in infrared synchrotron radiation to all our users coming from everywhere, but I'm also somehow recognized as a science communicator. And together with the science, I have another layer of science diplomacy and science for peace. And to tell you why I say science for peace or science diplomacy is because Sesame has 8 members, 8 founding members, and they are usually, okay, it's hosted in Jordan. I tell you just quickly now the 8 members of Sesame. So without alphabetical order, it's Jordan where it's hosted, Egypt, Palestine, Israel, Iran, Cyprus, Turkey, and Pakistan. And it's quite clear whenever you hear this bunch of members, you know how the relationship between these members can be and is. So we are trying to facilitate advanced science and also somehow to build some hope for scientists from these regions. I started at Sesame in 2005 and just a participant to our annual conferences, but I got my job 2015. And for 9 years, I was the only woman scientist at the facility. And this again added another layer for my experience, which is taking us to this direction again of women in science. So I'm also trying to provide training or mentorship to young women researchers and scientists. In my last experience, which is again shaped by the situation in the region, I'm working also for the establishment of the first African light source. And Africa is the only continent so far that is left behind without such advanced infrastructure. So we are heading also to have, hopefully soon enough, the first African light source. I would say that these are the main layers that is shaping my experience.
Well, thank you very much, Jihan. Thank you, Barbara. And thank you both again for being willing to chat with us and with our online guests. Let me repeat my invitation to the attendees. Please, feel free to interrupt and ask questions to our guests today at any point. You can do this by raising your hand, and I will allow you to talk, so to be heard directly by our guests. Now, just to get the ball rolling, you both started as physicists with a PhD in physics. And my guess is that, on the day of your PhD defense, you would not have necessarily imagined to be where you are doing what you are doing today. And so I would be curious to understand, of course, if you want to share with us how you decided to become a physicist, that's nice. But what I'm really curious about is how did you go from, being a freshly graduated PhD student in physics to becoming a manager of a facility? Jihan, maybe you want to start?
Thank you, Sarah. So for me, it's quite maybe a stereotype story that in my home country, in Egypt, and maybe also in some Arabic countries or Middle East, whatever, the direction of girls or young women researchers heading to very technical and specific fields like physics or engineering and technology, it's mostly linked to men. They think that men are more capable to go for these fields. And I was told clearly that my place is not in physics, my place goes to art or literature. I'd love to be also, I would love to be a journalist, for example, but I wanted to be my choice. So I was directed to physics because I took it like, I don't want to say a challenge, maybe a personal challenge to prove that we can be so much useful and valuable also if you go to this direction. And after my PhD, which had nothing to do with synchrotron light source at all, I had my PhD in the physics department of La Sapienza University, but it was also, I would say, shaping my future, and it really helped me a lot to find my place at Sesame afterwards. So all these experiences were building on each other. So, I mean, my physics degree in Egypt and then my PhD from La Sapienza. Then I worked at the INFN, Laboratorio Nazionale di Frascati, for 1 year. And from there, I came to Jordan for Sesame. So all this experience prepared me scientifically, technically, also culture-wise, to handle a position like this for scientific technical expertise, as well as dealing with users from different cultures, religion, nationalities. So it's like, yeah, it's like the seed of what I'm doing here.
But may I ask, so was there like a job opening? You applied for the job? You were recruited directly?
Or to Sesame, you mean?
To Sesame, yes.
Well, I was in Frascati when Sesame opened the position for the infrared beam line. It was clear that this position, I mean, this beam line was to be built from scratch. So started from design phase and simulation again and computational physics a lot with the French synchrotron Soleil. Honestly, I always say it everywhere. I mean, I opened for this position because I wanted to show that we can, as women, apply for such a very technical position. And then I was called for an interview. I had my interview online, and after that, I don't remember, it was something like 2 or 3 days where the scientific director called me, telling me that I was accepted for the job. And if I may add something here, which is also very nice to have, is that at that period, 10 years ago, I had zero experience in constructing beamline in a synchrotron facility. I was working as a researcher in Frascati on an infrared beamline, but I didn't have any experience with any subsystem for the beamline. Yeah, and I would really praise my mentor. His name is Paul Dumas from the French synchrotron Soleil. He's the one who took me step by step. He taught me everything about the beamline construction and operation and maintenance. And I really found, I would say, a shoulder to rely on and to ask without fear and everything. It was really a transparent experience sharing his knowledge.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jihan. Barbara, do you want to tell us a bit how you got to this position?
Yes. So in terms of deciding to do physics after school, it wasn't, so I was interested in everything. I studied Liceo Classico, where in Italy you study mainly humanities subjects, history of art, philosophy, ancient Greek, Latin, history, literature, and there was a little bit of math and physics, and I loved all of it, and I don't know why I chose physics in the end. I loved maths, and I thought physics is a bit broader than maths. It has also the aspect of connecting with the universe, and but I think I would lie if I said that I had a plan for this from the start. It was really, for me, very step by step. I come from a family where the level of education was very low before my generation. So I have 4 levels of education on top of what my parents have. They have primary level education. I have a PhD. So I didn't even know what a PhD was when I went to university for my undergraduate course. And then I just did the next thing that I was really interested in. When I did my undergraduate thesis, I fell in love with research, and then I continued doing that. So I got my PhD in 1998 from Jülich in Germany, and then I went to the UK, first in Belfast. So the theme of peace resurfaces there. I spent 2 years there just after the big Omagh bombing in 1998. And then I came to the Rutherford Lab in 2004 with a role as a computational scientist. And it was about 6 or 7 years after joining the lab that I gradually was given opportunities to also get a flavor of what it's like to be in management roles. So I started to build my own team, and then I was asked to be a deputy group leader, and then I applied. I liked it, so I decided I wanted to do more of that, so I applied for a group leader role, and the group leader role was so this was not to create a whole group from scratch, and this was to bring together a group of people who were already at the lab and who mostly were very mature scientists in their own area and covering quite disparate areas of physics. There were some people looking at antimatter, some people looking at plasma physics, and also people closer to my field of electronic structure. So at that point, I started to see that I was drawn to do things that enabled them to do the research, and I was less interested in being involved directly in that piece of research myself. And I had a light bulb moment one day when I went past the room where some of the people in my group were discussing a project that I'd been involved with, and suddenly I felt that I was going to spend the next hour not working with them on that project, but doing some developing a strategic opportunity that would expand their work into a larger program. So it was really gradual. And then I was offered the opportunity to become deputy division head. It seemed very daunting at the time. A division was about 80 people working across physics, chemistry, engineering, and biology. And I felt this was a huge task, and I would never be able to work at that sort of level, leading such a huge group of computational scientists. But having the experience as a deputy prepared me for then becoming division head, and that was in 2017. And I guess the other thing that drove me was an interest that was broader than the area of physics that I did research on. You know, it's always been fascinating for me to hear about, you know, we've got people in our department to study leprosy, and people who study the sloshing of fuel in the wings of airplanes. So one of the drivers, I think, is the desire to be broader and engaged with a broader set of fields. I guess you could say if you're broad, then you're shallow, but if you are deep, you need to be narrow. So you can't get it all. You can be shallow and narrow, but it's very difficult to be deep and broad in everything. So it's a bit of a trade-off. And then I was division head for a few years, so I was managing about 100 people by the end. And then a few years ago, we changed the structure of the department, and now I have a role which is much more senior in terms of strategic leadership, but I lead a small team. I lead a small team of directors of our programs. So I also really like change, and I like to do something. I guess 20 years of research was fantastic, but I was ready for a change, and that was also a drive. But there have also been always threads that are my basic passions of research and science, but also bringing the idea of communities, research communities. It's been a driver throughout my career. So the human side of research, the relationships between humans that are part of the infrastructure that enables research, and the role in SECAM, being president of the SECAM Council, is also a big manifestation of that.
Thank you, Barbara. So, listening to you too, it's clear that positions like yours require a blend of skills that are technical, that are personal, human relationship skills, and managerial skills, including strategic vision. I was just wondering if you could give us some, hints on what are these skills and what kind of balance you need to strike in your day-to-day work.
Shall I go
Barbara,
first?
why don't you?
Yeah,
Oh.
Barbara, you can go first. We go alphabetical.
So this may sound as, sort of textbook answer, but I really mean it, that listening, I think, is the first thing. And be prepared to change your mind by the end of a conversation. I think that's probably one of the drivers in my life is to broaden my views in everything. I think one of the big aspects of my role is that, and often if I have a view, I do need to think there's probably a bigger picture out there that I don't know yet, that is the reason why I see a problem here, or and it's the ability to work within the context of that bigger picture, but also not lose the connection with the people who are actually delivering the technical and scientific work, and really listen to them and represent their views when I'm involved with. So I'm involved in committees that take decisions about digital research infrastructure at the national level, for example, and I go to the people who are doing the technical and scientific work to work out what those decisions should look like. And some level of selflessness, I think. It's not about me, it's not about my career, it's being a vehicle to enable the labs to deliver what they need to advance science.
Thank you. Jihan?
Yeah, so it's I would say also the same somehow, but I totally agree with Barbara. I mean, in my situation, I would say that when I joined Sesame, it was still we didn't yet have the accelerator. It was only the building, yeah. And I came from Europe. I came from Italy. So the first factor that I realized that I have to work on is to adapt. I need to adapt because we have different, or I mean, I would say Sesame or INFN, where I was working before joining Sesame. Financial resources are different. Human resources are different. Sesame is run currently with 72 people, just 72 staff members. A facility like this with 6 beam lines need at least something like 300 person. Yeah, I was a group for almost 10 years myself. So adaptation is very important. Flexibility is very important. And it doesn't mean that I have, since I am the beam line responsible, it doesn't mean that I'm the boss. Yeah, it means that we, or me with other colleagues, we are a team. So trust is very important. Human connection is very important because science is not like, it's not an abstract. Yeah. So we are serving eventually the humanity, as we say. But and it's true, it's not a slogan. Eventually we are helping somehow the humanity. So our connection must be built on that trust, accepting, flexibility, trying our different approach or perspective. And of course, the basic thing is the scientific and technical expertise, because you will be responsible of the operation of such a facility. And it's not only the operation, it's the management of the resources given to you. And you are responsible because you are the service provider to so many users working on so many applications. So you have to provide reliable result. And also, if I would give a positive example out of my experience, as I said, I was the only woman scientist for almost 9 years. And when I started working on the beamline, I had to deal with all engineers, all different subsystem, vacuum and alignment and mechanical engineering. And for them, that was quite strange for for our connection, because it felt in the beginning that I'm giving them order. I mean, you have to do this. But after a few years working together and listening, as Barbara just said, this is the key, to listen and to accept and try to connect. And I would say I was elected twice to be the staff representative at the Sesame Council. And this is something for our situation is a huge remark or indication how in the same environment that we started totally odd to each other, strangers, we didn't accept in the beginning to deal with each other. Eventually, with this understanding, with this connection, something like this can happen. I mean, they understand that now that we are a team. It's not about woman or man, not about engineer or scientist. It's about the image of this place. So yeah, so I would say that the key point is to listen to each other, to trust each other, and to always work as a team, regardless of, like, I would say, personal perspectives or disagreement. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So I will keep asking questions, but always in the hope that someone from the audience will chip in at some point. I think you've hinted at some of the challenges that you face day by day by indicating what skills are required. But I was wondering if you could give us an idea, a bit more specifically about the type of challenges that roles like yours entail. And then, since this is, you know, a webinar that takes place on the occasion of a day dedicated to women's experience. Do you think that there are specific twists for women in the type of roles that you feel today? Jihan, would you like to start?
Well, I'm not sure. This is quite a difficult question, maybe, because I mean, in my opinion, some things can be learned. I learned about how to construct a beamline. Yeah, I mean, now I know about vacuum and mechanical engineering, alignment, optics, all these things. Yeah, but this alone is not enough, actually. So we also, as we grow up in age, we also grow up in opinions and perspective. I think we need somehow to take our skills to another level, always to a higher level, and not only to learn a new system or a new experiment. I think we also need to learn from the surroundings, the people that we are interacting with. I mean, in my position, I'm having this like daily, because the facilities is operational based on the proposals. I mean, users are submitting proposals to our calls, and then the accepted ones are granted what we call beam time. So they come for, it depends on the experiment, like they come to stay for 2 days or 3 days or 1 week. And it's quite impossible that the group of users and myself staying in one place, it's impossible that we talk only about the experiment. Yeah, we have to share something more. We share our perspective, we share opinion, we speak in so many things, you know, because by the end of the day, we are human. Yeah, we are not only scientists or researchers. So I think this is a very rich and extensive experience that we must like provide the maximum that we can, not only to keep learning new techniques or new methodologies, but also to like learn to accept the others, to learn from them as well. I always tell my users that I'm a physicist. I work with archaeologists, with chemists, with engineers, and they're totally in a totally different field than mine. Yeah. And I always have it like we are complementing each other. So we are exchanging our experience. I give you infrared synchrotron, and you give me your information about this mummy or this, I don't know, battery or energy or soil. I mean, it's a matter of a continuous interaction, not only about science, about the technique as a rigid technique, but also about anything around. I find it very, very rich experience, actually.
Thank you. Barbara?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. I could say many things, but so I certainly think that my life has been much harder because I'm a woman. Absolutely, I have no doubts about it. And discrimination does exist, and a lot of people are not aware of it. They're not aware that they do it. They're not aware that it happens. And also, I think we ourselves are not aware maybe of the effects on us. I read recently an email, an article where they were talking about almost like discrimination, racism and so on, causing almost like real scars in the brain. And I think that there is some of that, and so there is a job on our part to counteract that. I guess it eats into our self-confidence and our self-assurance. Years ago, someone told me that my worst side was that I'm too self-deprecating, and I wonder whether some of that, the origin of that, partly is in those scars. Yeah, the other side of being a woman in this position is that I noticed that something, the same tone said by me or by a male colleague is perceived in a very different way, because the baseline that is used is different. People, because I'm a woman, I'm nice, I'm friendly, people assume that I'm motherly. And therefore, if I have to have a stern conversation with somebody, they take it much harder than they would if the baseline was not this motherly figure. I'm not motherly. I'm there to make sure that we deliver effectively for our projects, our infrastructure, our research. The perception is colored by definitely my gender. But I guess I counteract it by having in mind what I'm there to do. Yeah, it's that I guess the mission that I feel I'm invested in my role that drives what I do, and I try to concentrate on that and not listen to my ego. Yeah.
So I think that Jihan wanted to contribute to this point.
Yeah, actually, it's quite interesting. I mean, it's just, I don't know if what I'm going to say is like a question or a remark, but let's put it this way. Despite what you just said, you are the president of the council now, right? So, I mean, despite what, okay, I can call it what, like a sort of negative experience, you still managed to be the president of the council. So how do you see this, and how others also see this? How did they come to this overall role?
Yeah, who knows what I would be if I were a man? I don't have an answer.
The president. So your role now as a president of the council, does it come out of election process, for example?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to look at it from this perspective, maybe, that despite all this discrimination, I mean, I also didn't mention this, but I also passed by this, and I mean, I would only look for the final result. Yeah, I like to have it like this. Yeah, so
one other aspect that has helped me a lot is the example of other women. Again, this is a stereotype. Everybody talks about this, but the university I studied originally in, the University of Modena in Italy, had some giants of in physics, and like Franca Manghi or Elisa Molinari and many other women before me who were absolutely fantastic role models to follow, and also all the support and believe in me that people around me have demonstrated throughout my career, that it's that connection with other people that really supports me.
Yeah. I totally understand this. I mean, if I just give you a quick comparison of the I would say the experience that shaped me now is that I just said in the beginning that my experience at Sesame started with a huge support from our French expert Paul Dumas from Soleil Synchrotron. Yeah, and he is a man, of course, but I went to physics because of a man also who told me, you don't belong to this department, you have to go to art or literature. So it's like, if I want to compare this man to that man, see how both took me, yeah? It's like, and the first one who told me that I don't belong to physics, he never answered my questions in the class. He never looked at me. I was the only student. I was the only woman, let's say, okay, the only student in my woman in my department. And he never looked at me. He was always looking at my male colleagues. So it's again, we need to forget maybe, or to put aside, not to forget. It's totally difficult to forget. I didn't forget at all this negative experience, and it was in 1999. Yeah, so I think we need only to put it aside, just at the back, and focus on the good. Yeah, hopefully we find as many good as possible. Yeah.
Yes, experience and, pros and cons for every situation. So let me ask directly to the audience. Do you have questions? If so, please raise your hand and I will be very happy to give you the opportunity to talk directly to our guests. So we have one brave attendee. Nicola Marzari, please unmute yourself and go ahead with your question.
Thanks. I would say, what is the thing that sort of hurts or irritates you most in a scientific environment, and that reminds you somehow of all, the implicit bias that is around. I'll give you an example. That is, I often find, colleagues that maybe say two of us are at a conference, and then they say, as say Professor Marzari and as Claudia have said, something, in which, I am the professor and, my equal or a more distinguished colleague is just called by first name. And I don't know, but it's, one of the subtle reminders, basically, of, what we tend to call implicit bias.
Comments from our panelists?
I don't know if Barbara wants to start. Hello, Nicola.
Professor
I remember...
Marzari could start if Barbara.
I hope that you are doing good. I remember your voice. I don't see you now, but I remember your voice. So I have the same remark that you said. So for myself, I'm Jihan, but for others, they are professors and maybe more. It's always the remark that I would say two main things I've noticed through my experience the last years. That first one is that sometimes, it's not always also, sometimes my input or my feedback is not enough and they have to confirm from a male colleague, for example. So although it's also scientific or technical experience, but sometimes, I mean, there is somehow like hesitation to take my feedback as a final one. And yeah, it's like not enough. And the other thing that also sometimes it irritates me a lot when they refer to the fact that we are emotional creatures. So we are shaped by emotions, and our decisions are coming from emotions, and our feedback is coming from emotions, which is not true. Because, I mean, I understand. I know that you understand my point, but this irritates somehow that you are not reliable enough in your opinion. Your opinion is not coming from a rigid point; it's coming just from your emotions, which is not the truth.
Barbara, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I guess this question is around the microaggressions. There's so things that are not big enough to point the finger and say this is completely wrong. It's those things that are just under the surface, and you think you can't just call them out because they are too small, but they do build up. Yeah, so thinking about things that irritate me in particular, I have to say that with age, they've decreased.
We call it wisdom. With wisdom.
Yeah, I think maybe as an older woman, I'm now 56, I'm seen as more authoritative than I was when I was maybe 28. Yeah, I recognize what Jihan said about not being taken seriously the first time you say something, or I guess there's also the other side now that there is awareness about the need to support gender diversity, and therefore things happen like I was elected president of the SECAM Council. I believe I'm the first female president, but if I say that, I can see people starting to think, oh, she was only elected because she's a woman. So that's very annoying as well. I am the only woman in the my department executive board. There, it's a different thing because they've known me for many years, and I know I'm there because of what I bring. But yes, there is that aspect as well. Oh, she's in that position just because she's a woman, which is completely counteract. I mean, sometimes I think, well, we are in a scientific environment. Why can't they be scientific when it comes to these things? Obviously, if you look around, you see there are much fewer women than 50%, and therefore it's the opposite. There are women who should be there who are not there because of the discrimination, and instead people point at the ones who are there and say they are there only because they're women. It's completely contradictory and non-scientific.
Yeah. So I am not going to reassure you on the reasons why you were elected as president of council, because I think that would be sort of playing to the wrong hand. Instead, I'm very, very happy to ask Sally Selan Hussein to ask her question. Please unmute yourself and go. Sally, are you still there? Okay, I can see that you are online. I can see that your hand is raised. I can see that your mic is muted. Aha, there you go.
Thank you for this inspiring event. I am Assistant Lecturer Sally Selan, and I am a faculty member at Al Mustaqbal University in Iraq. Supporting women and girls in science is essential for building a strong and more innovative future. We truly appreciate this initiative and hope for continued collaboration and global engagement. My question is, what are the main challenges that women researchers still face in the field of science and engineering, and what the measures can be taken to reduce them? Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Sally. This is a difficult and broad question. I don't know if which one of our panelists might want to tackle it first.
Yeah,
Barbara, I
for
see that
me-
you have a mute.
For me, it's to work on that awareness, and I guess it goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning, broadening the perspective. You know, we all live in our bubble where we convince ourselves of certain things, and we obviously want to think that we are good and we're not people who are prejudiced at all. But in reality, it's not true. I've done my own experiments. I have children who are twins, a boy and a girl, and I've noticed my own prejudices when it comes to my own children across the two genders. So yes, it's for me it's a difficult thing to do, but it's working on that awareness of our own prejudices and then calling out discriminatory behavior when we see it.
Jihan, do you want to add something?
Oh, well, thank you, Sally, for this. I wish you a bright future from now. I don't know which stage you are, but you have all the best wishes. So I echo also Barbara, but I would add one more ingredient, which is patience. Don't rely only on your scientific skills or experience. You have to be so much patient. Ambition is not enough, and passion is not enough, and you have always to prepare yourself that at a certain point, maybe it will happen a lot, that you have to fight. I don't know, if I give you an advice, if you want to cry, you cry in your room, but you go outside the room as a monster. You go as a fighter. You go to defend yourself and defend your right, because you are not less than others. Challenges are the same. Maybe they're increasing by time as well, but they're always like all relevant to each other. And if I add a remark also here is that I found it from communication and from events like this. It's not like a regional issue. Yeah, I realize now it's somehow like it's everywhere. Yeah. It's not only for physicists, it's not only for Arab countries, it's not only for Muslims, it's not only for Europeans, it's everywhere. And however, the challenges are the same. Sometimes it's more in some regions, but again, you need to have a lot of patience. Yeah, and you have to fight and cry inside and go outside fighting.
And self-respect, actually, that's really
yes, and confidence. Yes.
And if I may chip in here, you know, there are a lot of obstacles outside. Try to add as few obstacles as possible that come from the inside. And you know, that sort of ties into the notion of confidence, into the notion of patience. It also means that, you know, you don't have to set the bar impossibly high for every day, right? Just be yourself, the best version of yourself that you can be today. You can have great days and bad days. Progress is an incremental process. Just, I mean, that's what I think. So, you know, we're coming to the end of the hour. Do we have more questions from the attendees online? Well, if not, so I have to confess that one of the reasons why this particular webinar is called From Women's Eyes is that this is a quotation from Shakespeare. And it's from a moment in which, one character explains how looking at things, or looking inside women's eyes, but I also say looking things through women's eyes, can help acquire perspective and philosophical/scientific depth. Now, my passion for Shakespeare ties into a little sin that I have to confess, which is that I am currently fixating with a podcast by a British writer who interviews lots of British actors that have been playing Shakespeare for all their lives. And he has 3 sort of final questions. And what I would like to do in the interest of time is tell you all 3 questions, and then you pick one each, if you don't mind, Barbara and Jihan, and reply. It doesn't have to be long, just a quick answer, okay? And so the 3 questions are, on the basis of the experiences that you have shared with us today, what is a moment of joy that you would like to share with us? Second question, on the basis of the experiences that you have shared with us today, what is a moment of sadness that you would like to share with us? And third question is, what have you learned through the experiences that you have shared with us today? The stage is yours. Barbara, would you like to start?
I'm finding it very difficult to answer. Maybe I'll pick the last one, and it's that self-respect.
Thank you. Perfect answer. Jihan?
I'll start with the joy moment, because it's actually what my mission so far was about, is that when I'm recognized by experts, that now I'm an expert as well. That gives me a lot of self-satisfaction, and it assures me that I'm as good as they were hoping me to be. So I would say this. And yeah, I think also not only about people at work, my family, my mother, my late father, they also, I would say that they would be always proud of what I made so far.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jihan. Thank you, Barbara. I can say that it's really been a joy to share this hour with you. We are very, very grateful for the insight, the emotions, and the notions that you have shared with us. I don't necessarily think that they have to be contradictory situations. And I would also like to thank the people who joined us online, those who've asked questions and those who have preferred to just listen. I hope that this was useful and interesting for everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day, a wonderful year until we meet again on February 11, 2027 to celebrate another UN Day for Women and Girls in Science. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.